The message arrived like a whisper across the stars, weak, broken, full of static. It came from a far-off system, deep in the outer spiral of the galaxy, where old stars burned blue and cold. Earth Command almost missed it. First they thought it was just another ghost signal from a long-dead satellite, but someone at Deep Listening Station 47 noticed something strange. The pattern wasn't random, it was structured. The signal repeated every 13 hours, the same message over and over. It wasn't in any known language, but it had rhythm, emotion, sorrow, and something else. Something urgent. When the linguists ran it through translation cores, the message came out simple but terrifying. Please, they are coming. We can't stop them. Don't come here. Don't answer. Don't let them know you exist. The message was old, at least 700 years old, based on signal decay. But it had only just reached Earth now. It came from a system called Gamma Serpentis 9, a place not marked on any modern maps. No known colonies, no known life, just a dead zone. But someone had been there once, and they had begged not for help, but for silence. But Earth couldn't ignore a call like that. Humanity had come far since its early wars. They had learned to control wormholes, build ships that traveled through folded space, and survive in harsh environments no other species could endure. They were stronger now, not just in muscle but in will. The galaxy called them Deathworlders, a name given by other species. Not because Earth people were cruel, but because they came from a planet that was violent, deadly, and alive. Earth had storms that ripped cities apart, oceans that swallowed entire fleets, jungles full of venom, deserts of fire, skies full of acid rain, and yet humans thrived there. They didn't just survive, they grew, built, and explored. So when a signal came from the void, Earth answered. The Grave-born Armada, Earth's elite first response force, was launched within days. Led by the battlecruiser Obsidian Vow, the fleet included 12 ships, 6 dropships, and over 200 Deathworlder soldiers trained in extreme combat environments. The mission was simple. Investigate. Rescue if possible. Destroy any threat. The journey took only hours through a rift gate, but what they found on the other side stopped them cold. Gamma Serpentis 9 was a graveyard. 3 planets in the system had been completely destroyed, shattered like glass. Debris fields floated where orbits used to be. No life, no energy, just the ruins of what must have been cities now frozen in the vacuum. The sun at the center of the system was still burning, but its light felt wrong. Too dark, too slow. If it was afraid to shine too brightly, the Obsidian Vow held position near what was left of the 4th planet, a shattered world split in 2. Deep scans showed a strange energy field beneath the crust, something still active, against the warnings of the science teams. Captain Idris Vale gave the order to send a scout team to the surface. What landed wasn't a rescue party, it was a warning. The team found a small structure in the middle of a crater, ancient, alien, made of black stone and metal veins. The structure pulsed with faint light, almost like a heart. Inside, they found bones. Thousands of them. Just one species many. Stacked together like offerings. On the walls, carved in hundreds of languages, was the same sentence again and again: do not answer the signal. But Earth had already answered. The scout team tried to leave, but one soldier, Daltu, paused before exiting. He heard something. A faint hum inside his helmet, a whisper. He turned back and saw a mirror-like surface growing across the floor of the structure. It reflected not his body but his thoughts, his fears, his pain. Before he could speak, a spike of dark light shot from the floor into his chest. He didn't scream, he just stood there, frozen. And then he smiled. When the team returned, they didn't mention the spike. They didn't notice anything wrong, not even Dal. The scan showed no damage, no injury, just slightly elevated brain activity. Something had changed. Above them, the sky was no longer empty. The first devourer appeared 2 hours later. At first, it looked like a crack in space, just a line. Then it widened, a shadow, a curve. a mass so dark it made stars around it flicker. No heat, no sound, no radiation. But it bent reality. Ship systems began to fail. Lights dimmed. AI minds froze. It wasn't an enemy ship. It was something. Else it didn't fire, didn't move. It simply stared, and every human on every ship felt it, like cold hands on the back of the brain, like something crawling behind the eyes. Fear, deep, bone-level terror. Not from anything it did, just from what. It began broadcasting not on channels, but in minds. The same whisper Dal had heard. Now you see us, and now you bring us more. We will feed. Captain Vale called Red Alert. Defensive systems activated. Weapons charged. But the creature still didn't move. Only sent another message. One. That froze the fleet. It showed Earth burning. Not the real Earth, but a memory of it. A vision. The skies were red, oceans boiling, children crying, cities falling into the sea. It wasn't real, but it felt real. The crew screamed. Some passed out. Others tried to run in, though there was nowhere to go. The creature wasn't attacking with weapons. It was attacking with fear. Maya Faros, lead data analyst, realized what was happening. The creature wasn't a ship or an army. It was a predator of emotion. It fed on terror, and the Earth had just delivered it a feast. But she also saw something else. The heart of the message, deep inside the code. It wasn't just feeding. It was learning, studying, growing. The longer they looked at it, the more it understood them. Earth's fleet had come to save someone. But now it had been marked. The creature whispered again. You brought us your strongest. We will see what breaks them. And with that, the sky above the planet shattered. Like glass, something else stepped through, and the Deathworlders prepared to do what they did best, unleash hell. The sky above the ruined planet hung shattered, a slow-motion explosion frozen in time. Pieces of space floated like cracked mirrors, glowing with unnatural light. Something had come through, something worse than anyone expected. Not a ship, not a weapon, a shape, a wound in the universe, pulsing like a heartbeat. The creature didn't have a face. It didn't need one. It moved like smoke and shadow, folding over itself, floating above the ruins of the Black Temple. Its body had no form, but every Deathworlder who looked at it swore they saw something different. Some saw a great beast made of bones. Others saw a wall of eyes blinking in slow rhythm. Some saw nothing at all as just a feeling of being watched. From inside their own minds, on the bridge of the Obsidian Vow, alarms screamed, but the sound was far away. The crew moved slowly, like underwater. They weren't hypnotized. They were overwhelmed. The thing outside wasn't killing them, not directly. It was drowning them in meaning, flooding their minds with memories, fears, regrets. Every soldier on the ship felt alone, isolated, exposed, and yet they all felt one same message over and over. You brought yourselves here. You brought us your fear. Now we will remember you. Captain Idris Vale gritted his teeth and slammed his fist on the command console. Target the anomaly. Fire all forward lances. His voice cut through the fog like a blade. The crew responded instantly, muscle memory overriding fear. The ship's plasma lances lit up, tearing across the sky toward the floating entity. Creature didn't dodge. It simply opened. The weapons vanished inside it. No impact, no explosion. They just disappeared. Maya, still in the command chamber, was watching data stream across her display. Her hands trembled. Sir, that thing is folding space. Our weapons don't reach it. They fall through like it's not fully here. Captain Vale looked at her. Can we hurt it? She shook her head. I don't think it's that simple. It's not a living being. It's like a concept, a thought that gained form. It only exists because we're here to see it. Well, frowned. Are you saying it needs us to survive? I think it was dormant, Maya said, sleeping for thousands of years, maybe millions. The signal wasn't a warning. It was a key, a baited lock. It needed someone to answer. And now that we've seen it, it's awake. Down on the surface, the Deathworlder team tried to retreat. The landscape shifted under their boots. Craters moved. Gravity fluctuated. Time slowed. The black temple pulsed with every breath of the creature, like it was alive again. Daltu led the squad, silent and focused. But inside his chest, something was stirring. Ever since the mirror light stabbed him, I had felt different, sharper, colder. And now, as the creature floated above them, he felt connected. It wasn't speaking to him, but it knew him. It recognized something in him that the others didn't have. Maybe that's why he wasn't afraid. Maybe that's why he smiled. "Extraction now," shouted Rika 7, pulling him back. The team raced toward the evac shuttle, dodging falling debris and flickering gravitational pulls. The moment they were on board, the shuttle launched into low orbit. Fire streaking behind them. From space, the crew of the Obsidian Vow watched as the creature turned. It didn't move with thrust or wings. It simply shifted closer, larger, darker. One of the smaller support ships blinked out of existence. Not destroyed. Not exploded. Just gone. The AI on board had sent one last message before vanishing. "We saw something we weren't meant to understand." The bridge lights dimmed. Gravity pulsed. Maya dropped to her knees. A low sound, not quite a voice, vibrated through the hull. Not in their ears, in their bones. "Let us show you more." But then, something unexpected happened. The Deathworlders on the shuttle began to push back. Dal, without permission, activated his suit's combat enhancer. Rika and the others followed, not to fight the creature, but to protect the fleet. A coordinated strike using orbital mines, light distortion fields, gravity traps began to pull part of the creature's form back toward the planet. It reacted, screamed out with sound. But with rage, the stars flickered. But for a moment, it seemed to hurt. Vale saw it. "You can bleed," he whispered. "That means we can kill you." The Obsidian Vow joined the counterattack. Its fusion core flared. Massive solar cannons blasted into the sky, forcing the creature backward. Finally, it folded in on itself, shrinking, vanishing into a pinpoint of darkness. Then, silence. No light. No movement. The system returned to its dead, cold state. But it wasn't over. Dal collapsed as the shuttle docked. His body shook. Energy. Readings from his chest showed impossible patterns, quantum loops, time phase echoes.
Ow.
Maya scanned him with wide eyes. Something's growing inside him. Captain Vale walked over and looked through the glass. Dal opened his eyes, and they were red. Not like the creature's glow. More human, more focused. "I saw its thoughts," Dal said. "It's not alone." Maya asked quietly, "How many?" Dal closed his eyes. "All of them." Across the galaxy, the ancient relay beacons lit up one by one, each one sending the same message. Earth has seen the first. Now the others will come. The quiet didn't last. After the creature vanished, the Gamma Serpentis system returned to its lifeless state. No stars flickered. No more signals came. The broken temple stayed still. Space itself felt numb, like it was holding its breath. But aboard the Obsidian Vow, nothing felt safe. The air was thick. Every breath felt borrowed. Everyone on the ship knew, deep inside, this wasn't victory. It was only a pause. In the med lab, Daltu was locked behind layered energy fields. He sat upright in the bed, wide awake, watching the room with cold, alert eyes. No wounds, no burns. Yet something was very wrong. His vitals were stable, but his brain activity didn't match any human pattern. It shifted constantly. Unreadable, chaotic, and something inside him was pulsing a core of red light just under the skin of his chest, beating like a second heart. Maya stood behind the reinforced glass, staring in silence. The scan results in her hand made no sense. Dal's cells were still human, but his energy signature was not. It pulsed with fragments of the Devourer's wave pattern, like he had absorbed a piece of the creature. But how? Why hadn't he been consumed like the others? She pressed the intercom button. Dal, can you hear me? He looked at her slowly. Yes. What happened down there? He tilted his head. Showed me. What did it show? You, a pause. Then, its birth, its hunger, its purpose. And what is that? Dal smiled slightly. To be remembered. Maya stepped back. That same word again. Remembered. The Devourer wasn't just a monster. It was something deeper. Something that didn't need ships or weapons. It needed thought. Once you knew it existed, it never left. Across the galaxy, the ancient beacons that had once slept for thousands of years were waking. No one built them. No one knew where they came from. But now, they all pulsed with the same pattern, transmitting one repeating phrase. The first has awakened. The others rise. In alien spaceports and colonies, people watched the message in fear. Tried to hide. Others began destroying their own long-range scanners, hoping not to be seen. They had heard the stories. Old myths, ancient fears. But Earth had brought those stories back to life. Back on Earth, the World Defense Command was already in emergency mode. The Obsidian Vow had sent a full report. The footage was clear. Something from outside space had broken into reality. Had faced Deathworlders and survived. Worse, it had learned from them. General Ryland stood at the center of the council chamber. This is no longer a rescue operation. This is a containment war. If we don't stop these things now, they will. Spread through space, through minds. Through us, someone asked. But how do you fight a thought? No one had an answer, except Maya. She had returned to Earth after a high-speed fold jump, bringing Dal in cryosuspension. In her hand, she held the recovered core from the ruined temple. It was a small crystal, black and glassy. Inside it, patterns shifted endlessly. Maya believed it was a memory device, like an alien black box. But it didn't store events. It stored emotions. When Earth scientists ran it through quantum decoders, the data nearly crashed their systems. It wasn't just language. It was an entire culture's last scream. And inside that scream, a message. The Devourers are not a species. They are a virus of awareness. Once known, they must be fed. Earth had fed them by responding to the signal, by seeing the creature. By fighting it, they had made the Devourers real again. They had called them back. In orbit around Earth, the defense grid began to glow. Orbital cannons aligned. Battle fleets were recalled from outer colonies. The world was preparing not just for invasion, but for infection. Then came the second signal. It came from the Vega frontier. Another system. Another ancient. Ruin. Another scream. But this one was new. A nearby exploration vessel picked up the distress. Beacon, its final message chilled every translator who read it. They come in light now. They burn thoughts. Our leaders no longer dream. The sky eats our names. And then, nothing, silence. Gone. The Vega system was now just another dead zone. Maya met with Captain Vale in Earth's core command center. He was alive, though scarred his exposure to the Devourer had nearly broken him. But his will was intact. You saw what it did to your men, Maya said. Can't keep sending people into these traps. What choice do we have? Vale asked. You saw it too. These things are multiplying, and now they know we can fight back. That means they'll come harder. She nodded slowly. Then we need new soldiers. Not braver. Not stronger. Different. Vale frowned. What do you mean? We need people who don't fear the unknown? Who don't believe in monsters? Can walk into the storm and not carry it back with them? Vale thought for a moment, then said the old training camps. The reject corps. Exactly, Maya said. They're the only ones who've faced full cognitive war protocols and survived. Within hours, Earth reactivated the Graveborn. Legacy program, a long-abandoned plan to train mentally unique Deathworlders, those who felt no panic, no guilt, no empathy. Not machines, not killers. Survivors. Meanwhile, Daltu stirred in containment. His dreams were sharp, and in them he saw other Devourers. Not copies, not clones. Elders. some large as moons, some made of cities, some shaped like memories of things that never existed. They were coming because now Earth had value, not as a home, not as a battleground, but as a mirror, and the devourers loved what they saw. Earth had never been this quiet. The cities still moved, the skies still buzzed with traffic, and satellites still blinked across the stars. But something deeper had changed. People walked a little slower, they talked a little softer. Even the oceans seemed more still. It was like the whole planet was holding its breath, waiting for something it couldn't see, but could feel crawling behind the horizon. In the underground facility known as Black Deep, Daltu sat inside a layered energy chamber. His body looked human. His voice sounded human. But every scan told a different story. His cells no longer responded to medicine. His brainwaves spiked in impossible patterns. The red glow beneath his skin had begun to grow slowly, pulsing. Like a beacon. It wasn't just energy anymore. It was alive. Maya stood just outside the containment glass, her face pale but focused. She had barely slept in days. The ancient crystal recovered from the ruined temple was still on the table beside her. It hadn't stopped glowing since Dao was brought in. When she tried to move it away, it dimmed. When she brought it closer, it pulsed harder. The crystal wanted to be near Dao, but she didn't know why. Dao finally opened his eyes. His voice was calm, even gentle. "They see me now." Maya leaned closer. "Who?" He smiled. "The others. What do they want?" I sense solemn sense of so want to become, to grow, to echo through minds, through history. Not as rulers, not as gods, just something you cannot forget. Maya's hands trembled slightly. "And what are you becoming?" Dao looked at her without blinking. "The bridge." She stepped back. At that same moment, halfway across the galaxy, a colony on Lycer Prime went silent. No weapons fired. Explosions. Just silence. 20,000 people disappeared in less than 6 minutes. No bodies, no debris. But every comm system left behind had a single phrase burned into its storage drive. "We will learn your shape." Back on Earth, military leaders gathered beneath the global command tower, where Earth's last planetary defenses were being activated. High-energy satellites, deep-core nukes, black-site AI swarms, psychic dampeners, every tool known to humanity was being primed. They didn't know how to fight creatures made of memory and thought. But they would try. Captain Idris Vale was now in charge of all off-world counter-response fleets. His skin was burned from his last encounter with the creature, but his spirit remained unbroken. He stared at the latest report. Over 9 systems had gone dark. For more were broadcasting distress signals. Each one was closer to Earth. 1. AI analysts calculated a terrifying possibility. The Devourers weren't traveling in ships. They were riding minds. People who saw them. People who feared them. People who believed in them. That belief became a doorway. Maya presented her research to the Command Council. It's not just about fear. It's about memory. The more people think about the Devourers, the more real they become. They are not physical creatures in the traditional sense. They are a kind of virus, not of biology, but of consciousness. General scoffed. "So what do you expect us to do? Tell the galaxy to just stop thinking?" "No," Maya replied. "We fight them in 2 ways. With silence. And with control." That's when she revealed the Echo Core. It was a device she and her team had built using data from the Black Crystal, It didn't shoot bullets or lasers. It sent out null-frequency thoughts waves of information that created emotional silence. A blackout in the mind. If used correctly, it could create zones where the devourers could not grow. Zones where belief was impossible. Vale nodded slowly. Mental dead space. Exactly, Maya said. It won't destroy them. But it will. Slow them down. It will make them weak. There was only one problem. The Echo Core could not be automated. It needed a living human to stay connected. Someone who had already been touched by the creatures, but hadn't turned. Someone like Dal, but Dal was changing, faster now inside. His cell, the red light inside him, had begun spreading to his arms, neck, and spine. His skin glowed faintly in the dark. His heartbeat was no longer regular. It sounded more like a distant drumbeat, Palian and steady. But his mind was still his. For now, Maya entered his chamber, knowing it might be the last chance you have. To help us, she said. You're the only one who's seen their truth and come back. I never left, Dal said softly. Then stay long enough to protect the rest of us, she pleaded. He looked up at her. You want me to carry the core? Yes. He closed his eyes for a long moment, then nodded. I will hold the silence. A week later, Earth launched the Hollow Star, specially designed stealth cruiser built around the Echo Core. Dal sat at its center, wired into every system. His mind would become the wall. His thoughts would be the shield. The ship's mission: travel into known devourer territory and spread zones of newel thought, cutting off their advance. But before the launch, Dal sent one final message, broadcast. To all known civilizations, they are not gods. They are not death. They are only what you believe they are. Stop feeding them your nightmares. And if you can't forget them, then remember this instead. Humanity fights back. The devourers heard it, and they screamed. From the darkness between stars, from broken ruins and warped planets, from the hearts of dying suns, they screamed. Not in pain, in fury. Because for the first time in millennia, something had changed. Someone had looked into their endless hunger. The silence didn't last. Dal's Echo Core ship, Hollow Star, had moved through space like a shadow, leaving trails of mental silence behind it. Wherever it passed, devourer activity weakened. Distress calls stopped. Colonies once frozen in. Fear slowly came back to life. For a moment, Earth thought maybe, just maybe, they had found a way to win, but they were wrong. The Echo Core didn't destroy the Dever, it only made them angry at first. The signs were small, static in communication lines, navigation systems showing false star paths, people waking from sleep screaming, their dreams filled with red lights and echoing voices. Then the real message came not through technology, but through shared thought. A wave passed through every human mind in the outer systems. A single sentence. You silence us, but we remember you. Back on Earth, Maya was monitoring the Echo Core pulses. She noticed something terrifying. The core's effect was no longer working. The devourers were adapting. Learning how to survive in the silence, even inside mental dead zones, fragments of them still existed. Waiting, hiding in thoughts people didn't say out loud. And then Hollow Star stopped transmitting. Dal was gone. The mission had failed. Earth's hope had vanished with him. Captain Vale stood at the center of Earth's orbital command, staring at the empty data feed where Dal's mind used to speak. Find the ship, he ordered. I don't care what it takes, but deep inside, Maya knew. They wouldn't find it. They would find something else. 12 hours later, a probe from the Andromeda relay station returned. It didn't send video. It didn't send sound. It sent feeling, an echo of raw terror. Scientists decoded the emotional data, showed a field of stars burning black, not destroyed, converted. Worlds rewritten into living thought structures. Memory hives. Instead of trees, there were spires made of screams. Oceans filled with faces whispering forgotten languages. And at the center floated Hollow Star, cracked open like an egg. Dal was still alive, but not alone. A new devourer had formed it, stronger, then the first, and it had his face, his voice, but none of his soul. Earth called it the Mirrorborn, the first of a new generation, not just feeding on fear now. Using it, Earth had no time left. The Mirrorborn Devourer didn't travel through wormholes or engines. It folded thought, itself appearing in places where belief was strongest. Infected media, digital dreams, shared networks. People began to see Dal's face in reflections, in glass, in shadows. They would hear his voice whispering through their own thoughts. We are your future. We are your memory. We are what you chose to wake. Some broke down. Others took their own lives. Some tried to destroy their data implants, believing they were portals into the creature's mind. And worse, those who survived changed. They began to speak in sync, move as one, plan things no one could trace. Maya called them the Echoed, not fully devourers, but no longer fully human. She realized something devastating. Dal hadn't been consumed. He had been copied. The real Dal was gone. The new one was a weapon. One built from everything Earth feared, trusted, and remembered now. The war changed again. This was no longer just about survival. It was about identity. Earth's defenses struggled. The Mirrorborn didn't attack with ships, but with confusion. It hacked satellites by making people believe they were hacked. It shut down power by infecting fear itself. Troops stopped following orders. AI assistants turned silent. Even Earth's Moonbase received a strange transmission. You are already within us. Maya gathered what remained of her trusted team. Scientists, signal breakers, fear-resistant operatives from the Graveborn Legacy program. They developed a theory if the Mirrorborn could be copied into the world through thought. Maybe they could erase it the same way, not through bullets, through forgetting. She called it the Fade Protocol. They designed a signal that, once received, could collapse any memory associated with the Mirrorborn, cutting off the Devourer's ability to live in human thought. But it came with a price. It wouldn't only erase the creature, it would erase Dal's memory too. The Dal who gave everything. The man who first stood in silence to protect Earth. Vale stood in front of the Fade console. His hand hovered over the activation switch. Stood beside him, silent. If we do this, he said, Dal is gone. Forever, Maya nodded. But if we don't, everyone else will be too. Vale closed his eyes. He pressed the switch. Across Earth, stars flickered. A wave of silence swept through minds. People blinked, and suddenly, a whisper stopped. No more voices in mirrors, no more faces in shadows, no more fear in dreams. And in the sky above Earth, where the Mirrorborn once hung like a cancer in space, nothing remained, just emptiness. The Fade Protocol worked, but no one remembered how. When people asked, who saved us? There were no answers. Maya remembered only this. There had been a man once, a soldier, a bridge, a light in the silence, and though no one spoke his name again, Earth survived because of him. Earth was quiet again. The screaming had stopped. The whispering shadows were gone. Reflections no longer moved when no one did. The Mirrorborn was erased not by missiles, not by machines, but by forgetting. The Fade Protocol had worked. Devourer that wore Dal's face had been lost to the empty space, where thought no longer reached. But silence did not mean peace. It meant waiting. And the Devourers were still out there. Though Earth had cleared its skies deep within old memories, the first scars remained. Survivors of the echo waves sometimes stared blankly at walls for hours. Soldiers walked in perfect silence, afraid that even speaking might call the monsters back. Some refused to sleep, terrified of dreaming a thought the Devourers could follow. And some still heard the hum. It wasn't loud. It wasn't even clear, just a vibration in the back of the brain. A tickle beneath reason. A presence that whispered, not words, but possibility. In secret chambers beneath the new United Nations Tower, Maya Pharaoh stared at one such survivor. The boy was only 16, found weeks after the Fade protocol was deployed. His name was Nolan. Quiet. Calm. But when he closed his eyes, his body lit with faint pulses of red under the skin. Just like Dal once had. Maya scanned his brain. No infection, no devour wave signature. But something new. He wasn't carrying the same creature. He was becoming something else. Not a devourer. Not an echoed. Something between. Maya called this new evolution, the inheritors. She had found 4 others spread across colonies, each exposed to fragments of the old signal, each changed in a different way. One could sense lies. One could predict danger. One could speak in languages no one had taught them. And all of them remembered things no longer real. Events erased by the Fade. Details about Dal, about the Mirrorborn, about the creature that burned memories into the stars. It meant only one thing. The Devourers had not been forgotten, not completely, and now they were changing shape again. At the edge of known space, a military listening station picked up something strange in echo pulse bouncing off dark matter clusters. No life signals, no heat, just emotion, rage, hunger, and then curiosity. Something was searching, something new. Back on Earth, General Ryland had grown tired of silence. "We keep waiting for them to return, but they already have," he said. "The Devourers are mutating, evolving. They're using our minds as blueprints. If we don't hit back now, we'll always be too late." His proposal was clear. Stop defending and start hunting. Earth's Council approved. Project Iron Requiem, a full-scale offensive into the uncharted zones beyond the dead systems. They would not wait for the next signal. They would enter the forgotten spaces and erase whatever had been left behind. Captain Vale returned to command. His face was older, his eyes colder, but his fire was unbroken. He led the new Fleet 10 black ships built without memory-based systems. No AI, no emotion sense sensors, only raw data. Cold steel, human will. Maya begged him not to go. "These creatures learn from us," she said, "and now they're inside us. What if we're giving them what they need to evolve even faster?" Vale looked at her. "Then we give them something they don't expect. What's that?" He smiled. "A world that doesn't fear monsters anymore." The Iron Requiem fleet launched into the void. They found no cities, no ships, just life, twisted. Planets full of mutated trees that whispered, creatures shaped like memories of extinct animals, stone structures carved by civilizations that never existed. Time moved strangely there. Some soldiers reported reliving childhood dreams. Others walked through places from their past that had been destroyed long ago. And in the center of one dead system, they found it. A birth field. A massive living structure growing in space, half biological, half thought. Not quite alive. Not quite. Machine, its walls breathed. Its core pulsed like a star. Inside, they found no bodies. Only reflections of themselves. Every soldier who entered saw a version of themselves, sometimes older, sometimes broken, sometimes worse, and at the heart. They found a throne made of bone, empty. But above it, a message burned across the stars. "We do not die. We change. We are the future your fear will become." Vale gave the order. They destroyed the field, burned it with solar fire and antimatter. But something slipped through on the way back to Earth. 3 ships reported. Strange dreams, a girl in silver, standing in an empty room, whispering, "It's not over." Maya received the reports she already knew. The inheritors, those changed by devourer echoes, were dreaming the same dream. They were not being hunted, they were being studied. And now, Earth faced a new enemy. Not an invader, not a beast, but the next version of itself. A mind that had seen monsters and survived. It might become one next. The stars were calm, the skies above Earth glowed with safety again, the satellites blinked without error. Comms were clear. And the Iron Requiem fleet had returned, reporting a successful strike against the strange birth field in the outer void. From a distance, it looked like Earth had won, but closer. Things were falling apart. The changes were small at first. Soldiers returned with perfect health, but their biometric scans were off by tiny margins. Heart rhythms were steady but too steady. Brainwaves showed strange patterns during rest. Their dreams were filled with numbers, sequences, sometimes. They spoke in their sleep, not in words, but in sounds no one could decode. Some woke up in rooms they didn't remember entering. A few began writing symbols they had never seen, and when Maya checked their minds, they were not alone anymore. Inside their memories, hidden behind normal thoughts, something else had grown. Not infection, not control. Reflection. The Devourers were no longer attacking Earth's people. They were becoming part of them. She met with Captain Vale in the secure observatory above the Arctic Circle. It was the only place left not connected to global neural net traffic. Maya showed him a brain scan of one of the returning Marines. The image flashed red in places where thoughts shouldn't have formed small clusters of conscious activity that didn't belong. He doesn't even know, she whispered. He thinks he's normal, but something inside him is awake when he sleeps. Something watching. Vale looked grim. Ah! And how many are like this? She swallowed. Almost 30% of the fleet. That number is rising. That's when they both understood the Devourers had evolved again. They didn't need to be seen or heard or feared. Now, they could grow silently inside the minds of the survivors, and worse, they were learning to act human. One soldier, Brennan, was brought in after he walked calmly into a weapons vault and tried to open a sealed reactor. When questioned, he had no memory of doing it. When shown the footage, he cried, but his eyes glowed faint red under the lights. Another pilot, Commander Hezra, began painting strange circular patterns across her quarters. She didn't know why. When scanned, the images turned out to be mathematical key sportals in visual form. She called them star doors in her sleep, and yet, none of them were hostile. Not directly. Not yet. Maya realized what the Mirrorborn had said before the Fade Protocol destroyed it. We are what you chose to wake. Earth had chosen to wake something inside itself, a part of the mind that had never been touched before. And now that part was alive, not alien, not evil, just different. Vale wanted to isolate the affected personnel, lock them in clean zones. But Maya warned him, they're not infected. They're us just one step ahead. Then what do? He asked. Her answer was slow. We prepare for the moment when they stop pretending to be human. But that moment came faster than expected. At 3:22 a.m. UTC, the orbital relay in Station Horizon Alpha stopped responding. A team of 6 engineers were aboard, all cleared and stable. They weren't echoed. They weren't inheritors, or so Earth thought. The last message they sent was a simple sentence, spoken in perfect sync. We do not want to rule. We want to become. Then the station self-activated its burned core and crashed into the sea. No survivors. When Earth recovered fragments, they found a sealed data drive. Inside was a memory recording. Not a video, but a direct brain experience. Maya connected to it through a neural link. Desperate to learn what they had seen before dying. She didn't see stars. She saw herself, older, colder, smiling in the recording. Her future self whispered, "We are the future you fear, but we are not your enemy. The war is not against the Devourers. The war is against your refusal to evolve." When Maya pulled out of the memory stream, her hands were shaking. Tears ran down her face without her knowing why. She had seen something she couldn't explain. Not a vision, not a prophecy, it felt like. A decision already made. From that moment, Earth was split. Half the world wanted to continue the war, to hunt every echoed, every inheritor, and anyone showing signs of shared memory. They feared infection. They feared extinction. The other half believed it was time to listen, to learn, to understand what the Devourers had become, what they were offering, because maybe the monsters weren't here to kill. Maybe they were here to replace what no longer worked And so the real war began, not in space, not in ruins, but inside Earth itself, in politics, in families, in thoughts. Two ideas now battled across the planet: survive as we are, or become something new. And in the dark, the inheritors waited. They were not soldiers, they were not slaves, they were bridges between humanity and something else. And at the center of it all, Maya dreamed again. She stood in a city made of memory, and Dal was there. Not the one she had known, but something that remembered him. He touched her hand and said, "You can't silence what you've already become." It had been 1 year since the first signal. 1 year since the temple, since Dal, since the Mirrorborn. Since Earth learned that fear could be a door and thought could become a weapon. 1 year since they realized the real war wasn't in the stars, but inside their minds now. Earth stood at the edge, divided, weary, changing. The inheritors, those altered by contact with the devourers, had grown in number. Some were quiet and kind, offering insights into peace and new science. Others were cold and distant, speaking only in symbols, as if they were already thinking in a different language. Governments split over what to do. Some wanted the inheritors isolated, even erased. Others believed they were the next step in human evolution. But both sides agreed on one thing: the old world was dying, and something new was coming. Captain Idris Vale walked alone through the ruins of an abandoned defense base in Greenland. Snow covered the rusting walls. He hadn't spoken to anyone in weeks. After Station Horizon was lost, he stepped down from command. Not because he was broken, because he understood. He had seen it in the faces of his soldiers, the fear, the pull. Maya found him there, holding a worn-out file. Inside it, Dal's old scan results, before he changed. Vale handed it to her without speaking. It with care, her eyes red from sleepless nights. She, too, had changed. Not like the inheritors, but close. She dreamed of futures that didn't exist yet. She saw stars burn in slow motion. She heard whispers of timelines where Earth never fought. It never needed to. "I had another dream," Maya said softly. Vale looked up. She continued, "We were floating above Earth. You, me, Dal, and others I didn't recognize. But we weren't human anymore. We were made of light and memory, and we weren't afraid." Vale said nothing for a while then. "Was it peaceful?" She nodded, "Yes. But only after we let go." Back in orbit, Earth's remaining fleets prepared for what might be their final stand. Deep scans showed signs of a gathering in the Oort cloud, something massive. Dozens, maybe hundreds of devourer echoes, all forming a structure beyond size. Not a weapon, a hive. It was not approaching, it was waiting. Earth had two choices: strike first, and risk awakening another horror, or send a message. Not a warning, not a threat, an invitation. The council was split. Generals wanted action. Scientists begged for restraint. Citizens protested in the streets, unsure who the enemy was anymore. Then the inheritors spoke. All of them. At the same time, across Earth, across every colony, through every screen, "We are not your end. We are your choice. Let us show you what comes after fear." The message wasn't just sound. It came as memory. Every person who heard it felt something. Some saw childhood moments they had forgotten. Others saw futures where Earth no longer needed guns. Some felt nothing but silence, and still found peace in it. Maya gathered a final group, a team of thinkers, not fighters, inheritors, scientists, survivors. She boarded the old Hollow Star too, rebuilt not for war but for contact. Its engines ran on thought-dampening cores. Shields were made of emotion-suppressing fields. It had no weapons, just one cargo. Understanding, as the ship moved toward the hive, the crew felt no fear, only curiosity. The hive didn't attack. It opened. Not like a door or a mouth, but like a welcome inside. There were no monsters, only light shapes, memories, possibilities, and at the center, Maya saw him .al, or what was left of him. Not human, not alien, but something that remembered. Both, he smiled. You finally came. She stepped forward. What is this place? A reflection, he said, of what you could be. If you stop trying to stay the same, are you a devourer now? She asked. No, he said. I am what they became when they stopped devouring. Maya understood. They had changed, because Earth had changed, because Dal had, and now humanity could choose, go back, and fight forever, or stay, become something more. Back on Earth, the stars lit up with signals. Peaceful, calm, no fear, no demand, just a door, waiting in the final vote. Earth chose, not surrender, not submission, unity, the fleets. Powered down, the weapons fell silent, the minds opened, and the next age began. Some called it evolution, others called it surrender, but the inheritors called it something else. The day humanity stopped being alone.